Okay guys, I'm now going to show you the computer analysis of one of the games that I played, okay? Now, you'll see some lines on here, for example some green lines here. This shows what the computer thought would be the best move, okay? And so this is the computer analysing a game that I played with a real person, but to the best of my knowledge, right? And if you check the description, you'll see a link to the original game I played, okay, which shows, me playing it on YouTube, and also a link to the game itself, okay. I'll also provide a link to this analysis, okay. Anyway, so far it's not that important what's going on. Now, the next move I did was check. I took the pawn and basically made the king very vulnerable. They moved their king out of the way. I then took their knight. Now for some reason, the computer thinks this is a terrible move because I was then attacking their rook, and for some reason that I have no idea why, the computer thought this was a terrible idea and thought that I should just that instead they should move a pawn down here. Why is completely beyond me, because if you move the pawn there, I could then take it with the bishop. I suppose if I took it with the bishop, they could then take my rook. I could then get a bishop. I would then get a knight. And a potential pawn that's causing trouble. But anyway, they decided to try and attack my bishop, okay? This bishop will play a huge part in this game if you haven't already seen it, okay? But they thought trying to attack my bishop was a bad move, when in fact the bishop is the piece that they should really try the best to get rid of, which is what they tried to do. So the computer missed that. I then moved the bishop out of the way, protecting the queen. They thought this was a bad move and thought instead I should move the pawn up to here for some strange reason. Probably to encourage the queen to move out the way, I've no idea. But nonetheless, that's what they thought I should do. And thought that me moving the bishop was a terrible move. They've obviously missed what I'm actually up to. Next, they decided to threaten my bishop. To be honest, I didn't really like the knight here. It looked as if it was causing a bit too much trouble potentially. I thought there was a possibility for the knight to move there, check. So I decided, and it looked a bit nasty, and I thought I'd soon get checkmate if it did. So I decided to do something strange. I decided to sacrifice my bishop, which they thought was a strange move. They thought the best thing I could do was put the king in check, and then potentially, probably afterwards, maybe that would force the if I had put the king in, move that there, then it would have basically I would have lost my bishop immediately. They took my knight anyway. Okay, so now my bishop is threatened. Here. So I move my bishop out the way. Wait a minute. Let's see what is going on here. So yeah, so right, sorry about that. Right, okay. So I now move my bishop to threaten the queen, which they originally thought was a terrible move. And now saying that it was actually a good move, but that wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't done the move that they thought wasn't that good. My queen is now out the way. So far, things are going to plan. Now I take their rook off. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting. Okay, you see, they could have taken. By the way, what they thought I should do. If I go back a bit, the computer thought that rather than taking the rook, what I should have done is let him keep his rook and move my rook out of the way and protect my own rook. I thought a queen here and another rook there was very dangerous, especially as my king is fairly pinned in. I can't move there, I can move there, and I could also start to move the king around if I'd wanted to move out the trouble. But again, if I move that there, then he takes the knight, check, move that out of the way, lose my queen. So the point is, the king was very vulnerable, so I wanted to get rid of the rook immediately, even if it meant losing one of my own. And anyway, although it looks like a bad move, I don't actually need any rooks, so I now am down. So he has a rook, and I don't, and I'm looking rather vulnerable, but never fear. Now, I do see what they were getting at now. I understand now. If they'd have moved to there, I would have been forced to do a queen sacrifice. What is it? No, they actually did the best move according to them. So, but they said an alternative would have been to move the knight. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish. So the next move I did was check. Now the king moves what it thinks is the best possible position. Now this is where it gets interesting, and I really don't understand this at all. You see, it thought I now move the bishop out the way here. Now, it thought it was an absolutely terrible move, and it said it was a blunder. I strongly disagree with them. I strongly disagree with the computer on this. It says that D2 is a blunder, it has 2 red question marks, and it thinks I've done a terrible mistake. I very strongly disagree with the computer on this. The computer instead thought I should move this pawn up for some strange reason. Probably because it thought I was being pinned in and I was about to get checkmated. And if I moved a pawn up, I would be able to move the king out. But never mind. We never need to worry about my king. Now, for some reason, they moved the knight here. Why, I don't know, but they did. I think the reason why they're doing that is because they think I'm now totally pinned in. I cannot move the king at all now. I cannot move the king here because of the knight. I cannot move the king there. And so my king is totally pinned in. And so it looks very, very bad for me at this stage. Okay? But bear in mind, the computer is not a person. And computers sometimes may not see things that people can see. Let's look at the next move. Now, this doesn't seem to be of much benefit at the moment because, yes, the idea is to try and take the pawn, but how am I going to even achieve this? Bear in mind that when I originally moved this bishop, it thought it was a terrible blunder. But was it a blunder? In fact, what's really weird is now they're telling me that I should move the bishop to here. And I believe they're telling me to move the bishop to here so I can take the knight. I have no intention of doing anything so silly as that. Right, so. Oh no, sorry. It's saying that this was, yeah. It thought me moving my bishop instead of my queen was a better move. So it thought that moving the bishop there would have been better than me moving my queen to attack the king pawn. The pawn below the king. Sorry, I know it's not the king pawn, it's actually the king bishop pawn. But anyway, so it thought that moving there would have been the best move possible. I strongly disagree with the computer. The computer moved a pawn down. I think it wants to try and get a queen. So the idea is it thinks it can get a queen either by going down here or by taking and then going down there. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. It thinks moving the queen there would be the best move instead, and it thinks it should have moved the queen there. I agree. It would have been because they could then have taken off my bishop or something like that. But nonetheless, also I would then be in trouble because I can't move here or here. But nonetheless, we'll worry about that in a moment. Now, I have moved here. Which, bear in mind, I could only have done because I did this move that they thought was terrible. So, ironically, I've managed to do something which they consider is the best move on the board, which I wouldn't have been able to have done if I hadn't done the thing that they thought was a complete terrible blunder. Or maybe I could have done, but no, I couldn't really. Because I would not have been able to move my queen if I hadn't done what I did. Because if I'd moved my queen, this could have taken the bishop was there. So basically, now this is where my opponent made an absolutely catastrophic mistake. And it is identified as a terrible, terrible blunder, because it is. And now, even though they've got, I believe, on paper they've got better pieces than me because they've got a rook and I've got a bishop. I think also they've got more pawns. They're about to get a queen, you would think, but I have position. And on the next move, checkmate. So bear in mind that I was only able to get this checkmate because I did a move which the computer thought was a terrible blunder, proving that I am more intelligent than the computer. Okay? So that was my comparing what I did, why I did it, versus the computer analysis of what I did. Okay? So computers aren't as clever as they think they are, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye.